Donald Trump's Health and Human Services Secretary, who was convicted of the felony of heroin possession during the 14 years that he admits to having been a heroin addict, is the first cabinet secretary in history, indeed the only administration official in the administration of any president in history who wants to rip every black child in America out of the arms of that child's mother and that child's father. Every single black child. Robert Kennedy Jr. believes that every black child in America has bad parents and that every black child in America needs to be reparented. That is his personal Nazi word for it, reparented. He did not say that some black children need to be reparented by him. He did not say that thousands of black children need to be reparented. He said, quote, every black kid needs to be reparented by the federal government in institutions run by him. Yes, it's insane. Yes, he is obviously insane. Yes, it's the single most racist thing said in the 21st century in America and possibly ever in America. And I, for one, along with most people, did not know that he said that 2 years ago when he was a presidential candidate until Congresswoman Terry Sewell confronted him today in a House Ways and Means Committee hearing.
In a 2024 podcast interview, you suggested that black children on ADHD medication should be reparented. You said every black kid is now just standardly put on Adderall, SSRI, benzos, which are known to induce violence, and that those children are going to have to go somewhere to get reparented. There is a lot to unpack in that comment. I know that you've already answered several of the questions I was going to ask, and so I'm just going to rephrase them. Mr. Secretary, you've already admitted that you are not board-certified physician, and you've already admitted that you did not go to medical school. Have you ever reparented, or parented, I should say, a black child?
I don't even know what that phrase means, and I doubt that I said it.
A yes or no answer.
I doubt that I said that phrase. No,
absolutely
I'm not going to answer something that I didn't say.
You absolutely said it.
And here is that deeply perverted, racist madman absolutely saying it.
Every black kid is now just standard put on Adderall, SSRIs, benzos, which are known to induce violence. And those kids are going to have a chance to go somewhere and get reparented.
Donald Trump gave that sick racist a job after he said that, and every Republican senator voted for the confirmation of that poisonous racist. Joining us now is Michael Steele, co-host of The Weeknight here on MS Now. Michael, when I came across this today, I immediately hoped you could join us tonight, and I just want to hand the microphone to you.
Well, Lawrence, thank you. You know, man, just when you think you've kind of rounded all the bases, and okay, we're clear. There can't be anything more stupid or more racist or more insane. Enter RFK Jr. Thank you, first off, for setting this conversation up the way you did, because you systematically went through the facts. You systematically laid out what the man said in his own words. Couple of things. First off, there is no evidence that Black children are universally or even disproportionately medicated the way he just described. Quite the opposite, Lawrence. What the problem is in the Black community for a lot of parents who are dealing with children who have mental health issues, is actually getting the medication that they need, actually having access to the healthcare system that this fool now runs. And so the reality of coming on and saying this, whether as a presidential candidate or sitting there and not even realizing 2 years later that not only did you say it, but this is an attitude that you openly expressed, speaks again to just how unfit you are for the job. The second thing that I think to keep in mind is the type of medication he's talking about. Again, it's not used for the kind of thing that behavior he described. In fact, Adderall is something that reduces impulsivity. It's something that is put in place to help lower the rates of risky or aggressive behavior, right? So where did that come from? Oh, maybe the stereotyping of young black kids as being overly aggressive. I have two black children, sons especially. I can't tell you the number of times we had to deal with issues around their behavior if they got too aggressive, particularly when they were younger. You know, and so the reality of it is, if that's the go-to, Lawrence, that when a child acts out as a lot of children do, and you know, sometimes gets a little bit rough and tough in the tumble of the playground, you're going to then go, oh well, that, you know, they're aggressive, they're behaving a certain way. That again feeds the stereotype that goes back so many generations in Black communities. And I think the last one of the last points is, you know, the adultification of kids, of young Black boys especially, ties into this reparenting BS. Who gonna raise my child? That fool? I thought the congressman asked the right question. Have you ever parented, let alone reparented, a Black kid? Have you ever had to deal with not just the economic, the political, the education, but the social stigmas that child has to grow up with just by being Black? Look, I'm not on your show tonight making excuses for crap. I'm not out here trying to explain away everything. But this is a man who's in a position of responsibility in our government and who's expressed a view about Black kids, not just some, as you noted, but all of them. And so what are Black parents to expect when they have to access this system with this numbnut sitting at the top of it, dictating the terms of how we're going to receive health care, who gets health care, what kind of health care they're going to get, what type of mental health needs they need to be addressed, and how do we deal with broader societal issues along race and economics that feed the current system to push out the kind of nonsense he's talking about?
Michael, I saw it as an attack on Black children and Black parents, all of
Yes.
them, which is why it was so important for us to be able to hear from you tonight. Michael Steele, thank you very, very much for joining us
Thank you,
tonight.
sir.